So, Jason, thank you so much for coming on today to our Community of Practice YouTube channel. On behalf of SETSI, we really appreciate you for being the leader that you are. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, as always, before we begin, we acknowledge the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, yeah, my name is Jason Shim, and I am a nonprofit technologist, and I serve as Chief Digital Officer of the Canadian Centre for Nonprofit Digital Resilience, also known as CINDR for short. And so I've always been very deeply interested in the intersection of nonprofits and technology, and I've dedicated my career to helping organizations adapt to and embrace the potential of technology to engage audiences and to meet their missions. And so I have had the opportunity to share knowledge widely through presentations, and I've taught classes on digital as well as analytics and really enjoy speaking and writing about digital in general and passionate about innovation and love exploring new technologies.
Love it. That's amazing. Nonprofit and tech, as we see the world changing and advancing so much in the AI space, it's a no-brainer to really, evolve to that stage in the nonprofit sector. So kudos to you on that for sure.
Hmm.
So can you articulate your personal mission and vision for us?
Yeah, so this is something that I arrived at when I was a teenager, and you know those little agenda books that you get, and some of them had little prompts, and I remember coming across one, and the question was, what is your life's dream? I remember sitting there for a while, and what I wrote at that time, and it still stays true today, is my dream is to help others achieve their dreams. And it has deeply resonated for me because over the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to engage with, various, organizations and people, and in this has manifested itself in various ways. So, in at an earlier stage in my career, I worked a lot with youth, and that was a really great opportunity to, work with them to figure out, what they were interested in, and also finding them opportunities to volunteer, to find part-time job opportunities, and to mentor and coach them throughout. And as it relates to technology today, in terms of my dream helping others to realize their dreams is really helping organizations and individuals to understand the power and potential of technology to achieve what their broader ambitions may be. And so that's something that has really deeply resonated with me and with others. That it's what helps you get up in the morning to help others realize their dreams, and specifically through the my expertise in the digital and technology space.
That's so rewarding. It's a rewarding work when you're able to fulfill those dreams. When especially in today's economy, people think it's a doom and gloom, but stars like yourself is really shining bright for people's lives to really bring their dreams into fruition. So very good. And what
Mhm.
inspires you about your work?
I think because the when it comes to things like technology, it never stops moving. And I one thing that I like to encourage with folks when thinking about possibilities is the magic wand question. And if you could wave the magic wand, what would be true? And I think, allowing people to, take a step back and really think about, hey, what might be true if we could, free ourselves from all the, the constraints that, in our kind of day to day, and think about what would we like to see, be true in this world. And I think what I find inspiring is that, at times there are possibilities where, technology can help bridge that gap. Not all the time, but, there are some moments or some possibilities there where it's like, okay, during the magic wand moment, you kind of thought about, uh, what you would like to achieve, and, being able to work with folks and to help uh, uh, explore. It's like, okay, well, some of these things, we can get closer to, that we can, through a combination of, technology or training, or, there's an opportunity to get closer to that dream. And so I think we're living currently in a really extraordinary age where, especially in the last few years, there's been a lot of uh, developments in the space of technology. AI is definitely the buzz right now, and I think that there's some good power and potential there for AI to help realize some of those future dreams that folks have. That being said, there is also I think the responsibility to be aware of uh, the drawbacks of AI and how we can use it, responsibly and such. But I think it's balancing out those, how can we continue moving ahead in an effective way. And so going back to the question of, what do I find inspiring about it? It's that having the opportunity to be a part of all of that and to help folks navigate, this rapidly changing environment and to understand the potential of how it can help broadly. And so when I see the difference that it able to make both in kind of day-to-day work that folks do as well as organizations over the longer term, I try to remember some of the projects that I worked on in the past, and the possibilities of that moving into the future, and that's what I find deeply inspiring.
Awesome, awesome. So on the flip side, what challenges and barriers do you face in your work, and how are you working to overcome them?
I think that when it comes to challenges, I think that certainly one of them is that there is an immense need for digital technology infrastructure and capacity within nonprofits. The need is immense, and so at times it can be it can feel like there's so much that is going on, and I think that with regards to additional challenges, is that also we're in a landscape right now where cybersecurity threats are ongoing as well. And I think in the past year, especially and beyond, we've heard about various situations of organizations that have been subject to ransomware, and those are just the ones that are reported in the mass media. And so there are many more that aren't reported in mass media that folks have to deal with as well. So I think that the challenges, one of the challenges is that the challenges are growing in that sense, and that some of these attacks are growing increasingly automated, and you have the additional layer of AI on top of that poses additional risks to organizations. And so these challenges are being faced by individuals and organizations on top of all the things that are needed on a day-to-day basis, and the day-to-day challenges that folks already have. And so I think that with these challenges also is the tremendous opportunity here, where there's no shortage of opportunity to try and address all of these broad challenges that are faced, but it also underscores the importance of the and need of the work that is needed to improve and build upon the tech capacity, infrastructure, and cybersecurity preparedness for organizations as well. So yeah, that's a few of the kind of high level challenges that immediately come to mind.
Perfect. Yeah, I totally understand. And that is definitely an issue when it comes to like cybersecurity and those things. But for every, there's always an opportunity in these challenges, right? To do better, to work on and address the issues, and know that there are actually issues in that region when it comes to cybersecurity. So yeah, I think for Microsoft, Bill Gates, you have the Mac, and it's not supposed to, go through malware and those things like that. But doesn't he also have so he's on the two sides of the spectrum. He has, the way to make sure that you don't get into malware. But if you do, we also have the anti, I think he sells that, the antiware, the anti-malware stuff that you can put onto like a MacBook. So all that to say, he's working on both sides of the spectrum to say, we have this product that is not supposed to create this, but if it does, we have the solution. So he's working on both sides of the fence. So that's what we have to do, be on both sides.
Yeah, yeah, and
Problem there.
there's certainly like yeah, lots of things that folks can do to protect themselves as well. Among them, yeah, definitely ensuring that they have like the antivirus, anti-malware software on their computers, as well as turning on things like
Yeah.
multi-factor authentication, and that some of these are very relatively small measures that folks can do that have that can reduce a lot of the potential risks for organizations. And so I often like to try and encourage folks that if they don't have multi-factor, authentication turned on for their systems, and not just professionally, but also personally, for if folks are on their social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, that I'm sure that many folks who are listening today may have seen someone on their friends list that their account may have been taken over, or may have had it happen directly to them. And one of the ways that can help mitigate against that happening is by turning on the multi-factor authentication
Yes.
feature, which makes it a lot more difficult for accounts to be taken over.
That's it. I can testify to that. It happened to me, but I had my two-factor and he couldn't get through. So I testified to that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Very good. So what are some of the priorities that you're working on right now, companies working on?
Yeah, so one of the key areas is around cybersecurity, as I mentioned, and how we can help promote awareness of the cybersecurity landscape. So specifically, within the nonprofit sector, as well as the key interventions that can be undertaken for organizations to better understand the risks and subsequently protect themselves. So, as the broader threats to organizations continue to grow, it's ensuring that folks are aware of some of the cybersecurity measures, as well as the policies that they can put in place for their organizations as well. Uh, One of the other priorities around the work that's being done is around supporting some of the work around projects such as future-proofing the community service workforce, and that work is being led by some of my colleagues and is focused around how we can broadly strengthen the digital skills in community organizations. And so the work is on my end is really around ensuring helping to ensure that the research and findings from that work can be made widely accessible and available online, through the website and also through the wider Cinder network as well.
Very good. Very good. And so how do you feel about the future of social impact in Canada? What would you say?
I think overall, I'm optimistic. You you have to be when it comes to digital, because I think that you going back to the magic wand question, when you think about carving out the possibilities of what is and what can be, I think while there are uh, a whole bunch of challenges in front of us right now, I think it's important to keep on thinking about what is the future that we wish to build together, and what is the future that we wish to get to, and kind of keeping that in mind. And so again, going back to that, thinking about the space of what may be true, and the future of social impact is, I think technology has a very significant role to play in that, and along with the technology is also a future of social impact in which staff at organizations in the broader community are using technology skillfully and effectively. And so I think that we're at a time where a lot of technological advancements are becoming more accessible in some regards, and I think ensuring that these technologies are used effectively and responsibly. So when we look a few years ago, like they're using technologies like ChatGPT, that was limited to just folks who were mainly on the software development side, and knew how to access APIs and such. And then within the past couple of years, that it's become widely available, that anyone can sign up for an account and get access to, the basic level of, some of these technologies. And I think that while I have optimism around, the use of some of this technology, I think that we also need to keep in mind, for the sector as a whole, how we can continue to contribute our voice into some of these developments of the technology, with regards to, what is being built, as well as also the accessibility of some of these things. So I think, bigger picture, in terms of using some of these technologies, and I'll take the example of generative AI, is how can we ensure that, folks are educated and informed about, the data that is being used to train these models, and how are we ensuring that if folks are interacting with some of these models, that, they are using uh, uh, ensuring that their privacy is protected, that, they're not putting personal information into it and such, but also really asking questions around, what are the procedures in which, some of the outputs are used, in that, keeping in mind that, you know, the data sets that are being used to train some of these models, reflect the data that was available to be scraped, online, or the data sets there, and fundamentally, it really reflects, all the inherent biases that may exist within that data. So I think I'm I'm generally, optimistic about, the future of social impact, and the role that technology can play. And also, with that optimism comes the understanding that, the nonprofit sector also needs to, I think, be keenly involved in that building of that future, because I think that there's certainly no challenges ahead, but with I think continued collaboration as well, that we can achieve a more resilient sector.
Absolutely. Because we know, AI, these things, they're not going away. It's only the beginning. So we have to now collaborate. It's funny, we're not collaborating just on a human level anymore. We're now collaborating, on that digital side, that robotic side, let's say, right? So we have to come together and work together to see how we can make this fair and just, keep it non-biased, and also, just learning for the new generations to come, that they'll be able to take on this challenge. We're laying the foundation, but really for the next generation. So do it the best that we can. Mm-hmm. Wow, this has been such an amazing interview, Jason. I think, honestly, the last question I have for you is, any closing thoughts or calls to actions from you at this time?
Yeah, so I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to reiterate for folks around the cybersecurity front that, in terms of the broad actions that one can take, if you haven't already, please turn on multi-factor authentication for your accounts. So, if you're listening to this, so it's a very small action that can have a lot of impact. And so, that the first is, turn on multi-factor authentication for your accounts. And my closing thought would be to stay curious and open to possibilities. I think that there's a lot of interesting things that are going to be emerging within the next little while with regards to technology. And really, if we start from a place of curiosity and possibility as well, and so that organizations and people can stay open to learning about technology and staying informed, I think that is a great place to start. So stay curious and open to some of those possibilities that are out there. And I'll leave it at that.
Perfectly said. Perfectly. Staying curious for sure. I'm always very, so I could, what am I, Generation X, but I'm always trying to keep myself up to date using the chat GPT, just listening to the gurus now on social media about which one to use, but also being very careful and aware of, like you're saying, with the two-factor authorization and all that. So all that is so key. Like I said, I testify that happened on my WhatsApp. Almost my whole WhatsApp database was gone, but because I had it on there, they couldn't touch it. So I'm very grateful for that. So Jason, on behalf of SETI, we want to thank you so much for your knowledge, your wisdom, and your leadership. And we will definitely be collabing again in the near future. So again, thank you for taking the time out today and participating in our YouTube channel today. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much.
All right, so we will close the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So Jason, we will be in touch soon. Thanks again for all your time and have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having me.